Cool. Good stuff. All right, awesome. Let me share my screen and get into the good stuff. This is going to be a fantastic call. I think it's a really important topic. It's something that I know a lot of people resonate with, as well as myself. I definitely have dealt with in this whole situation. So, dude, I want to make it very clear and almost a little bit of a disclaimer that when it comes to eating disorders, I am not qualified to help anybody with that. If anybody has a full-blown eating disorder, they should be getting professional help and somebody who is, educated on that. That is not me. However, something that I have learned from my own journey. Can everybody hear me, see me, and see the screen real quick? Yeah, okay, cool. Is that there is two sides of that. There are full-blown eating disorders, and there is disordered thoughts around food. And I definitely have dealt with that in my life, and I know a lot of other people have, and that's what I will be discussing today. So we are not talking about the eating disorder of binge eating or, anorexia or anything like that. We are talking about disordered thoughts around eating, which I also feel comfortable saying is probably the beginning of a full-blown eating disorder. However, I'm comfortable enough to say that I definitely think I suffered with the eating disorder of binging. And I didn't think I did, because in my mind, people with eating disorders, especially a binge eating disorder, were either extremely overweight or were mentally ill. That was just my perception. I could not have an eating disorder because I am not extremely overweight. I'm not extremely underweight. And in my opinion, I don't have a mental disorder. So I never took these disordered thoughts and these unnatural patterns that I was, embodying as an eating disorder. However, we're kind of going to dive into that. So how to end the binge restriction cycle, which is what I feel comfortable talking on because I was here. Feeling in control around food like cookies, pizza, brownies, chips, whatever it is, any kind of food. It doesn't even have to be kind of like fun foods, but having that moment of feeling out of control is what we're really going to talk about here. So food obsessed thoughts and behaviors. Here are just kind of some examples that can be red flags. And if any of these resonate or, have resonated in the past, these are just some things to think on. So eating in secrecy, hiding wrappers or boxes, either from yourself or from others, banning certain foods from the house, having anxiety around food or on vacation or at parties or celebration, and having that anxiety building up before you're even there or while you're there. Feeling like a bottomless pit when you do indulge in these foods or certain foods. And it will feel like having an out-of-body experience and losing all control over food. Ooh. And then eating past the feeling of satiety. So eating past your brain and your stomach telling you I'm full and basically blocking out that signal that you're getting from your body. These are all signs that you're either, one, malnourished throughout your daily meals, two, you're restricting these foods too harshly or restricting any foods too harshly. Three, you are having big emotions that you are not dealing with, that you're avoiding, suppressing, or disassociating from. Or four, you have simply just created this as a habit and as an identity. You have identified and clinged on to the narrative of I go crazy around chocolate, or I have the biggest sweet tooth that I cannot keep this in the house. Or you've been binging just every night or every weekend for years, and now it's just a part of your habit or identity. However, I would say all of the things listed before that last statement are probably what led to it becoming a habit. So we're kind of gonna go through all of those topics that I just mentioned as to maybe what could be causing that feeling of feeling in control around food, not trusting yourself around sweet foods, having that anxiety around foods at parties or whatever. And that first one was fueling yourself properly to prevent being malnourished. I first want to say I'm not sure about this exact statistic, but something like 80% of the population is malnourished, and that's in the US. So even though we have access to all these foods and whatnot, and even if we are eating extremely high calorie, that does not mean that you are nourished. Okay, so when we talk about nutrients, whether that's macronutrients or micronutrients, if we're not getting some of these, your body can be in a state or responding as if it's being malnourished, because it is. So a friendly reminder that your brain, especially your old brain, which, is like kind of like the back bottom part of your brain stem, that shit is primal. This is the same type of brain that your ape ancestors, or whatever you believe in, the tadpoles had. Okay. That is especially true when it comes to a basic survival need like food. Our relationship, our desire, our everything with food has been the same since we were cavemen eating an apple for dinner type of shit, and hunting or whatever. Okay, so if you are under eating and you're also not eating enough micronutrients like minerals and fiber and iron and stuff like that, as well as macronutrients, which is what we talk about a lot, protein, carbs, and fats, or just only eating low calorie foods, only eating asparagus and an apple and a diet soda or whatever, your brain knows this shit. You cannot outsmart it or trick it. I promise you. Try. Let me know how it goes. It won't work. Your brain that part of your brain especially is primal and instinctive, intuitive, all of the things. So to prevent this, each meal should be 30 grams of protein minimum, starting with breakfast as soon as you wake up. That is the most important part, because this is a huge factor of the binge and restrict cycle, is the restriction aspect. So pushing breakfast off maybe till noon or till 1, or whatever that looks like for you. So starting with breakfast, each meal should also have 1 serving of fruit or veggies. I like to have a serving of fruit either in the morning or with my lunch, and then a serving of veggies with my lunch or my dinner. Each meal should be 80% whole foods. When I say whole foods, that means it doesn't have a nutrition label on the back. It came from the earth or it came from the animal. And then you also should be eating every 3 to 4 hours. So if you're taking 6 to 8 hours in between each meal, then this is all going to kind of go back into that restriction and binge cycle. Restricting foods too harshly was the next reason that could cause this cycle. So the 20% portion of the 80-20 rule is extremely important, not just an option and not just for shits and gigs and because it sounds cute to say, but extremely important. So we want to desensitize ourselves to our favorite foods by enjoying them frequently in moderation. And this is something that I recommend to people who are dealing with the binge and restrict cycle or feeling out of control around food, is to have the foods that you are, feeling fearful of often. So something could be make yourself have 2 cookies per day, or 1 serving of ice cream per day, or whatever it is for you, or, have pasta at dinner and stick with this for at least 30 days, every single day. That will desensitize you. And I would highly recommend doing that, especially if you can get it to fit in your calories, which I don't see why anybody wouldn't be able to fit 2 cookies or a serving of ice cream into your calories. And I want to make it clear that these foods that you choose, these fun foods, should not be sugar-free or the protein version or whatever. I'm talking the real damn thing, like the M&M cookies that I have in my pantry right now. And then a vague technique tool that I've recently just found like the acronym for it, which I think is cute. It's OBC, observe, breathe, and chew. So you want to be completely present with yourself at every meal. By the way, this applies to every meal, every time you eat. However, I definitely want you to apply OBC when you have, the 2 cookies per day, or you have that serving ice cream or whatever it is that you really want to heal that relationship with and stop the obsessive thought towards. So make sure to have no music on, no TV on in the background, not being on your phone, as well as take slow, deep belly breaths and experience the food to its fullest, every sense. What does it feel like? What does it taste like? What does it smell like? What does it look like? Enjoy it, be present, experience the sensation of the food and the taste and the flavors, and chew it until it becomes like applesauce texture. That's of chewing, okay? So the more we can just slow down and be present, the less we can kind of get into that animalistic, oh my God, I haven't had calories and I need to make up for the calories that I didn't have right here, right now. And then there's also a huge component of kind of the emotional or mentality aspect of of this pattern. So I would highly recommend this, and this could be a great journal prompt, so maybe screenshot or take a picture, whatever. But notice any emotions tied with even just the thought of these foods. The thought, or maybe when you're in the environment and it's right in front of you, literally, what are the actual emotions or thoughts that are coming up? And the next time you're in the office and someone brings cupcakes for their birthday or whatever, become curious. Really tap into that feeling. Use this as a learning moment to stop and really go within. Where are you feeling these emotions? What exact thoughts are coming up? What's your physical reaction? When I did this on myself, I realized I would feel it in my face a lot. Like I would like literally tense my face, or I don't know, I just felt a lot of tension here. So figure out where in your body do you feel that. Take note of this, where you feel these emotions and what memories come up too. That was another thing that would happen to me a lot personally, was there was like 2 or 3 certain memories that would come up every single time. And I would reflect, I would have this fear of the last time, when I ate the entire sleeve of cookies at work or whatever, and I felt disgusting afterwards. I felt embarrassed afterwards, and whatever memory is popping up. Take note of that. Write it down. That'd be fun. Also, take note, this is a really big one. Take note of any rules or restrictions you have around these foods. For example, I can only have something sweet, or I can only have dessert after dinner. That's a completely arbitrary thing, by the way. You can have it at any fucking time during the day. I can only have something like this on the weekends. I'll only have cake or chips when I'm out of the house. I don't want to keep it in the house, only out of the house. Only on special occasions, or only after I hit my protein goal. I definitely would recommend that you are not eating these things out of true hunger because you haven't had enough protein, like that 30 grams, and you haven't eaten 2 or 3 meals 2 or 3 hours between each other. But what kind of rules are popping up in your mind, are playing on repeat? How long have they been there? Where have they come from? Can we release them and let them go? By disrupting these rules and basically by breaking them, you are, desensitizing yourself to these foods, and you're taking the power away from them. If they have rules over you, that's a dictatorship. That's a parent. That is not a cookie anymore. Right now, it's like this has really become imbalanced, and that's where these disordered thoughts around foods can come into play. Also, if you notice that these binges come after big emotions, so let's say, your boyfriend just broke up with you, or you had such a stressful day at work, and then it's like, I'm going straight to the pantry. This is when I eat and I numb myself and I desensitize. First of all, always practice the OBC, observe, breathe, and chew with the foods that you're having, and regulate your nervous system. Have practices that you constantly do to regulate your nervous system. Whether that's journaling, calling a friend, talking it out, taking a silent walk to be with yourself, some kind of spirituality practice, getting embodied by stretching or dancing. That's a big one for me. Because you're probably in your head, right? If you're feeling these big emotions, you're so sad, you're so stressed, you're so depressed, you're stuck in your head. Move that energy down into your body, get into your body and get out of your head. And I guarantee you'll feel more calm, more aligned, and make more rational decisions rather than eating an entire bag of Doritos or whatever it is. So have these practices in place for dealing with these thoughts or these emotions, and try not to, constantly disassociate from them, especially with food. Okay, now if a binge episode does happen, first of all, what are you going to do? And second of all, you are not an awful person. You are not a failure. You're not a loser. You're not weird. You're not alone. Okay, so it doesn't matter. You're totally fine. It's not the end of the world. We just want to make sure it's not a constant cycle. And even if it is, this is what this whole call is about anyway. But if it does ever pop up in the future, what do we do? All caps. This is all caps. So imagine me screaming right now. You do not restrict your food the next morning or the next day or whatever. That does not mean we wake up the next morning, we push off breakfast, we skip breakfast and lunch, we have a really small lunch, whatever it is. That is the binge and restrict cycle. It will never end if you continue. Seriously, that it will never end, because now you are just, again, telling that primal part of your brain, food is scarce and we need to obsess when there is a large quality of high calorie foods around us the next time. Stop it. Stop that. Do not double down or double up on workouts or increase cardio. Stick to your normal routine immediately. Drink water, your normal eating times, your normal eating amounts, your normal eating schedule. Hit your steps, hit your calories and your macros fully. And try to release any shame and guilt. Obviously, easier said than done, but it takes an intentional practice to be able to do these things. It's not just luck if you can release shame and guilt, it takes intention. And things like that, shame and guilt, do way more harm on the body than an excess amount of calories. Okay, having that shame, that resentment, that guilt, creating this snowball effect in your mind and having a poor relationship with food, that is so much worse than the 6 cookies you had last night. For real. Don't weigh yourself the next day. What's the point? I wouldn't weigh yourself the next day or for a few days afterwards, because you'll probably feel a little bit more inflamed. You'll probably be holding on to water retention. Your gut biosis might be off, so you'll feel extremely bloated. I just wouldn't weigh yourself. Like, what's the point to just kick yourself while you're down? Don't do that. The cookies, the cake, the pizza, the pasta, or whatever is not the reason that you can't lose weight. So having those things, or having a night where you have those things, or keeping them in your house, that is not the reason you can't lose weight. It's the fear, the restrictions, the rules, the obsessions, and the unhealthy relationship to those things. That is the reason you're having a hard time losing weight. Mic drop. I'm very passionate about this topic, if you can't tell. Oh my gosh, it's dark. The sun. All right, it's just dark. I'm just gonna hang it on dark. All right, y'all. Any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns? Anybody resonate with that? Anybody liked anything that they want to point out, add to it?
I liked all of it, obviously, but I really liked the part where you spoke about like adding movement to kind of like the emotional side to things. So that doesn't just apply with stuff like this, it applies to everything in your life. And I feel like a lot, if not most people can attest to like when they're feeling a lot of emotions or stressed out, etc. When you go and move your body, whether it means like exercising, going on a run, walk, yoga, dancing, whatever, you really feel that kind of like shift in emotions, and you see how all of that kind of stuff flows out of you, and you're able to like reassess how you're actually feeling. And I think like this doesn't necessarily relate to like the evolutionary side, I guess, but more on the biology side of things, all those things that are going on behind the scenes, that you don't really acknowledge, but you feel through your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a little confusing, but I like that part about the movement.
Yeah, no, I get it. Embodiment. It's such a powerful, real thing. I feel like I heard that word a lot before, like embodiment, get embodied. I didn't really understand. And then I was like, oh, that's what's happening. That's why I feel so good at the gym. That's why I feel so peaceful in yoga and whatnot, is because you're becoming embodied. So yeah, love that. Thanks, Bryn. Anybody else? All righty. Cool. Love this. Love you guys. Also, one more thing. If you guys ever take little gym selfies, if you guys ever accomplish anything big, if you guys ever cook a meal, hit your macros, have a great time on the call, if you take a picture and post it and tag me, Sheena, Frequency, anything like that, you guys are our marketing team. Okay, I don't pay for ads, we don't pay for marketing, and it would really, really, really mean a lot. We really rely on serving you to the best of our abilities in order to keep this whole thing going. And a post, a tag, a share to a friend could help so much, as well as it could get you up to $600. Past that, there's no limit. So anyway, all right, refer your friends. Love you guys. Have a great night. Bye.